Hi guys, welcome back to another overthrow disc golf video. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. We appreciate it. Today we're going to be talking about your shoulders and your hips, what they do throughout the throw, and how they relate to one another. Give you a big picture. I think that these big pictures and understanding how these big pieces move, having proper visualization of that is mega important. So let's get started. Drop. All right, so to start the throw, if you're facing forward, there's no tilt in the hips or the shoulder. Tilt would be like this. This is tilt, like my shoulder's tilted up, my hip is tilted up. This is also tilt, right? This is just level, right? So in the beginning, if you're doing a full walk up, you will start with no tilt. And then once you turn, you've got two options here. I like this one. This is my preferred one, but I'll show you both. For your step before your X step, for me as a righty, this is a right step. For you lefties, it's the opposite. You want to have a positive tilt here. That means that your lead shoulder is up and your lead hip is up. That also means that your trail shoulder and your trail hip are down, right? If you have this up here during this time, it makes it really, really difficult for you to take too big of a step here during this X step and going backwards. But the second you drop this shoulder and drop this hip here, you start kind of falling backwards, and now we're behind too early. So that's one of the reasons that I like to do it right here. Just get it out of the way early. The other option that you see is some guys will come into this first step, and girls will come into this first step and they'll be kind of neutral, and then they'll pop up into this positive tilt here during the X step, right? Again, what you don't want to do is go into the X step with this negative tilt, because you're going to open up and load too early. Sorry, open up. You're going to close off from the target and start turning the hips back too early. Leads to big swing path issues. First, we want a positive tilt. Then we keep the positive tilt. So another way would be up and then up with this lead shoulder, eyes forward. And now during the last step, this is the load step. So when we want to load, we're going to take it and we're going to flip it. So we're going to take this lead shoulder, my right shoulder, and we're going to take this lead hip and we're going to drop it below this trail shoulder, trail hip, which would be my left here. And so now my left hip's up, and it's going to vary the amount of tilt on angle, but we'll talk about that in a second. So now you want, during your load step, you want to go from this positive tilt, you want to start coiling the shoulders and the hips back to get into where this is dropped and dropped below this. And that's for basically every angle. And then here, after you weight shift, they're gonna switch again. So we're gonna take this shoulder and we're going to flip the lead shoulder and the lead hip are now going to rotate or uncoil upwards to where we get into this position where we're back to this positive tilt with the lead hip and the lead shoulder into your follow through. What happens if you don't do this? If you don't do this, we've already talked about here, if you go in a negative tilt here, you get backwards and now your disc is behind you. So now you mess up your swing plane. The other thing is if you don't get into this negative tilt here, you don't coil the shoulders back and down, you run out of space. I'll show you from this side. You'll run out of space here if you just go level with it. And now the disc will be here. Sorry, let me give you a target.
Hey, did you know this video has a sponsor? That's right, a big thank you to us, Overthrow Disc Golf. We just dropped some new merch, and instead of rolling a mid-roll ad, we decided to run an ad of our own. So check it out in the description below. Now back to the program.
Right, so imagine that this is my T-pad. If I don't coil this shoulder back enough and down enough specifically, now I coil it back behind me. So now the disc has to travel here to here when I swing in, and then has to get to my out position. So I end up collapsing my pocket a lot of times. So it's really important that when we get into this tilt here, that we actually coil that shoulder down below your trail shoulder, which for me is my left again. Right, gives you lots of space away from the body for the disc to swing in, and make sure that you're not getting in the way of this swing path. Right. The other thing is, if you don't coil back enough and down enough, your elbow will start going down and you'll start creating a swoop like this, because again, the disc is behind you and it can't path through you, so it finds somewhere to swing, and then that's up. So a little bit faster for one progression here. We'd go up, positive, negative, or down, and then we would switch back to where our shoulders do this move here, right? And this is where a lot of you enter the channel. The twirly bird is basically getting a shoulder coil. We're just gonna do it to where our shoulder drops and goes up, right? You wanna make sure that this trail shoulder also coils with it, so you're not hugging, you know, finding a dance partner back here. That would be a little bit of an issue, right? Lots of space. Now, slightly off topic, Josh, what about for Anheuser shots? Well, glad you asked. Check out Simon on this Anheuser at his coil here, right at his backswing. Do you see how his right shoulder, even on this Anheuser, comes out lower than his left shoulder? Not as low as his hyzer, but lower. So when we coil back, sometimes we really drop this lead shoulder down for a hyzer, and sometimes for an Anheuser, to get the benefit of the extra range of motion from this coil that happens with the drop of that lead shoulder. On Anheuser, we still drop the shoulder to get the benefit of the range of motion, and then we can manipulate kind of the angle here to maintain an Anheuser angle and get the best of both worlds. Yeah, and only in the extreme cases of like sky Annies or something like that would you probably consider having that right shoulder up above the left. But in most normal Anheuser throws, they're still gonna have that right below the left. It's kind of weird to think about, but that's what they're doing. So I too questioned it myself for a while, but now I embrace it.
Yeah.
I hope that understanding those relations was helpful for you guys. It's helpful for me. But yeah, it comes up a lot, solves a lot of issues, the scrunching, and so many issues that come from poor coiling. So, fix it.
Fix it, pal.
Fix it,
bud.
kid. Fix your shots, kid.
Fix your shots, kid.
And I need to do mine.
Anything we want to like, no plugs. Just that's it right there.
That's it.
That's it. That's it. That's it.